What's up, everybody? Another playoff edition, RotoGrinders NFL Food for Thought podcast. What a season it is so far. A ton of fun. Thanks for sticking with us throughout the last couple of months. And if you're tuning in for the first time, this isn't your typical analytical podcast. I got the Chief Will Priester with me, and he'll let you know what kind of podcast this is, man.
It ain't your mamas, I can tell you that. Your grandmas, your grandpas, your sisters, your mothers, your cousins. It's got its own flavor, and thank you guys for hanging out with us. And throughout this season, it's been a good experience, and I know the end is near. I can tell you that as NFL winds down. But once again, as I said last week, thank you guys for hanging in there with us, and we appreciate the support for sure.
Yeah. And we have one of our frequent guests this season, Andre Alford, is joining us again. What's going on, Andre? Thanks for coming back. It's a pleasure to have you on here as we are watching a beatdown in LA, Dre. Did you expect this one?
I expected the Rams to come out and win, but I expected it to be a beatdown like it is today. But I'm glad it's happening for my parlay. I'm going to cash out today with makes a little bit of money, which is always good. And hopefully, we get ready for next weekend. These teams, have another good week of NFL football, which I thought it was actually a pretty good week this week, even though the format changed and it's a Monday Night Football game here tonight, which is fun to have.
They say it ain't over till it's over, but 20 passing yards from Kyler Murray. It's almost halftime. What a brutal second half for the Cardinals and Kyler Murray and everybody involved in the organization. I feel like the only bright spot for Arizona was James Conner this season. Man, we'll get to this game a little bit later in the podcast, but man, oh man, did we have some great super wild card football games, and we got a lot to break down here. I think we should throw it back all the way to Saturday. Las Vegas and Cincinnati, Chief. Joey Bengals getting it done. Early game. They didn't pull the kill shot. They let Vegas hang around, but they look good. Burrow with one of the most controversial plays of the season with the inadvertent whistle, and they took Jerome Boger off any future playoff games, by the way, him and his crew. Hey, good season for the Raiders. They dealt with a lot, Chief, and we talked about a lot of it on the show. They were right there within a score at the end. Couldn't get the road upset here. Bengals are moving on.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, I for the Bengals to be a young team, they needed to be at home. They got it done at home. This is what it takes when you have a young team, right? Like, I mean, if you look at their offense, Joe Mixon's in his third year? I think, yeah, third year. Let's go with third year. Third year, Joe Mixon. Second year, Joe Burrow. Second year, T. Higgins. Now, Tyler Boyd, is this his fourth year? This might be Tyler Boyd's fourth year.
Sixth.
Wow. Oh, yeah, he had part of Andy Dalton. Yes, you're right. You're
Time
right.
flies, man.
But hey, this might as well be his second year because I'm just kidding. But so 6 for Boyd, which probably helps the wide receiver locker room, believe it or not. Have a little. I mean, that's veteran leadership at 6 years in the NFL. That one caught me off guard. Wow, 6 years for Tyler Boyd. Man, if only they had John Brown there. Not John Brown. What's the other guy that was there with them? Guy played at Washington, I think. God, I can't remember his name. Either way, he's not there anymore. And then, of course, Jamar Chase. And then, overall, though, they've got a young team at the skill position area, a young head coach. This is his second year there. And they're just trying to get it done. So, My hat goes off to Joey Bengals and or Joey Bengal and what he was able to accomplish. But it's not stopping here. There's more work to be done. Bengals have to go into Tennessee and take care of business if they want to do a little something here.
Hey, Dre, it's been a fun ride for the Raiders. Something to build upon here. Derek Carr, is he the answer? Nobody knows. I see like 8 great plays from Derek Carr, then 1 or 2 with the Carson Wentz head scratcher. And I'm not comparing the two, but you feel for the guy. He lost. Ruggs is off the team. Had to develop chemistry with Hunter Renfrow. Darren Waller. They need one more guy on that. On the outside, I think, to help Derek Carr out. Is it fair to give Derek Carr, an extended leash here and, give him an entire offseason with a new system, whatever it is?
I think it is, but the thing about this is he's been through how many coaches in his NFL career? I think that's a problem mainly. Like, he needs to get to a system where he has a consistent system and a consistent coach. Nothing changing constant like it is always in the Raiders organization. I think that's the biggest problem and why he hasn't been as successful as I think he could have been, because I don't think Derek Carr is a bad quarterback. He has shown that he's not a bad quarterback, and to play as decent as he has throughout all the drama that they had pretty much this year and years in the past, him performing at a high level so constantly. I think he deserves another chance, but I don't know if he will. I don't know if they're going to resign him or if the Raiders want to decide, hey, let's go in a new direction to start all over. The Ruggs situation, that was big. That was one of their top picks that they spent money on, gone, and probably never will play in the NFL again. Sorry to hear about that with him, but you got to be smarter with your choices, honestly, especially when living in Vegas and just in general. But I think he should get another chance, but I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm excited. I'm a huge Joe Burrow fan. Probably one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league, if not my favorite. Young quarterbacks, especially him with Jamar Chase combo, that's only going to get better. And the sky's the limit for them. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull off the upset this week, honestly.
It's going to be a great game. Looking forward to it. It's ironic because the Raiders' backup quarterback also had like 4.5 systems in 5 years in Tennessee when they were going through all the upper management changes too. So they have 2 quarterbacks that have had probably a combined, I don't even know, 7 or 8 coordinators in their young careers. So you have to feel for them there too. But the pass rush was there for the Raiders. I think that was a big plus and a big improvement. Crosby and all them coming into their own a little bit. So looking forward to seeing what the Raiders do with a full off season. And, the flip side, the Bengals, I mean, hey, they found a way and they got it done. Pretty big loss with Larry Ogunjobi, whatever. I can't say his last name. He's out this week. But Trey Hendrickson's questionable too. Easier name there. So we'll see how the Bengals front, can kind of heal up in a week. And it should be interesting. Tennessee dealt with a ton of injuries and they'll be fully rested. But a lot of weapons there. I think the cool storyline in that game is you have Joe Burrow and you have Jamar Chase, LSU. And on the flip side for Tennessee, you have Christian Fulton, who was a big part of that 2019 LSU championship team, who squared up against Jamar and Joe for what? 1.5 2 years of practice every day. But not only that, this is crazy. And I'm ripping this off a Titans Twitter account. Justin M_NFL. There's 7 players in that Titans Bengal game that were on the LSU 2019 championship team. So that's pretty crazy, and it'll be a pretty fun game. But we'll get to the divisional round coming up. What can we say about the beatdown in Buffalo, Chief? Let's go there.
I think what we can say is the Bills came out to play. They took care of business. And a lot of people will say, well, they've got more talent. Well, they do on the offensive end. They are a high-powered offense, and really that offense didn't perform its full potential in that game, believe it or not. I mean, Stephon Diggs didn't have some monstrosity of a game. Basically Josh Allen just hit the open guys. They spread it around. Mr. Knox came out and had a big game, and so I think if they're going to win this week, and I know we're talking about what happened last week, but that was an easy win for them, right? It really was. They were pretty much clicking on all cylinders from the beginning. I think what's really opened this offense up, believe it or not, is the emergence of Mr. Devin Singletary, right? When you can get Devin Singletary going in the running game, look at what this team has been able to accomplish. Like, just look at the past 4 or 5 weeks with Devin Singletary being the guy, the lead back. And this is the guy that, as I always talk about, if you watched him play at FAU at Florida Atlantic, this guy was a stud. So I was always really confused as to why they tried to go with this committee approach. I mean, I don't mind, giving him 80 and Zach Moss 20. And Zach Moss was a stud in college in his own right. But he was not Devin Singletary. And look at the results of this offense. When Devin Singletary is 60, 70, 80 yards, look at this team. Look at the scores. I mean, they're running it up, and it's helping Josh Allen because teams now have to account for a robust running game. Let me tell you what this feels like this year to me. This feels like the Cam Newton MVP Panthers. Think about it when they had him and Jonathan Stewart and how that running game got going. All of a sudden, Cam looks like the best quarterback in the world. That's what I see when I see this Bills team. Cam had some weapons. Josh Allen has some weapons. And those weapons are going to be on display this weekend. Kansas City is going to be in a dogfight this week. I can tell you that. This is not the Steelers coming to town. This is not that. This is not the Raiders coming to town who they thrashed all season. The Bills are going to be bringing the funk when they come rolling up in there. And I don't think it's going to be a disappointing affair like the Cowboys 49ers from a scoring perspective. I do expect this game to have some fireworks, and this is going to be a fun one. And guess what? We get Bengals Titans Saturday at 4:30. Then we're going to roll that thing to 6:30 on a Sunday. 6:30, not 8:30, 6:30 on a Sunday. We're going to get Bills at Chiefs on CBS. And I'm not sure if Tony Romo is going to be in the booth. I'm assuming he is. So we won't have any favoritism here. He will actually call this game with an unbiased viewpoint.
I have to watch one more Troy Aikman game. I'm going to lose my mind. But
Troy Aikman and Joe Buck on Fox.
Yeah, I like Joe Buck for baseball, but I'm okay. I'll pass on more so Aikman than Joe. The Devin Singletary thing, my thoughts are maybe finally he's playing with a little fire because they clearly weren't sold on him. He's getting RB1 volume now. We're seeing 18 to 20 plus carries out of Devin Singletary, who was always viewed as a committee back. Zach Moss was injured early in the season. He came back, wasn't very effective, healthy scratch every other game. Clearly they weren't happy with the results between him and Singletary because you bring in Matt Breida. Matt Breida was relevant in real life and in fantasy for a couple of strange little weeks there. And he kind of had the reins on the backfield for a stretch of almost a month. And now Breida is getting healthy scratch. And Devin Singletary coming back out of left field saying, all right, we trust you. Here are the keys to the city. And he looks good. He looks slippery out there. He's got a little juice. And, he is the most complete, I would say the most complete receiving back in that offense. I know Breida could catch the ball a little bit, but there's a reason he bounced around from team to team to team in his short career so far. Singletary is the back you want in that pass-heavy, offense. Mix it up a little bit with him. I hope Moss develops into the change of pace back because they do need kind of I guess my Titanism here, like Lendell White, thump it out, Brandon Jacobs kind of, like Mike Allstott-ish kind of thumper to kind of, take it away from Singletary a little bit in short yardage situations. So maybe you address that in the draft or something like that. But yeah, big boost to that offense. And Dre, talk to me about the Bills. And I mean, we got to talk about the Pats a little bit and what exactly went wrong.
Yeah, the Bills, man. I'm not going to lie. I did have the Patriots winning that game. I thought, Bill Belichick was going to, prep for them and like he always does. But I think maybe one more year with the quarterback, with the rookie quarterback underneath his system, I think that'll be great for him, and he'll have more rapport with the receivers. So I think next year's going to be the Patriots year. But this year, the Bills, they're playing pretty well. Their defense looked really good early. Singletary looks great running the ball. Looks just absolutely like the guy they drafted. to be every a 3-down back. And like you said, Zach Moss, I think he can be that change of pace back, but they just need to pretty much start using him, I think, like it more and just like start dumping off in the backfield, and they'll be fine. But I really like what they're doing over there. It's going to be a great game too. It's a rematch, I think, of last year's AFC Championship game, if I'm correct. So it's going to be a really, really, really good game. I still think the Chiefs are going to pull it out because that defense right now is just clicking on all cylinders. Like that defense has stepped up to the plate, just like it's come. To me, it's the same thing like with the Patriots. I mean, not the Patriots, with the Bucs did last year. This playoff time, last couple of weeks, start clicking, turning it up another level. So I think that's what we're seeing right now from the Kansas City Chiefs, and this is the good thing about them that I think what separates them, makes them different from any other year and in years past. That is the simple fact that Patrick Mahomes had to find different ways to win. Like it wasn't just the standard, we blow these teams out. He had to find like literally different ways to win games. Like it wasn't a lot of impressive wins. It was a lot of like gritty, grind it out, trying to get it done. Let's make it happen. Let's just give the ball off and tough it out, win by last second, field goal or whatever, win. So I kind of think that's going to favor them more so in this matchup. And I give the edge to them, especially with the home field advantage too. But it's going to be a good game overall, and I can't wait to see it go down on Sunday.
Yeah, Chief, I'll segue this over to you. We'll get into the Chiefs in a little bit. But Dre just said Mahomes had to find other ways to win. I think that was a good point, and we're used to this 40 points a week. It's too easy, flashy type of play. Teams adjust. The league is fast to adjust. Copycat league. You play too deep shell. You make Mahomes take what the defense gives him. And he wasn't used to doing that through the first 2 to 3 years of his career because he had the arm strength that you just can't believe when you see on tape, and when you see it in real life, you can't believe he makes the throws that he does. It's almost to the fact where, wow, Kansas City's not putting up 40 a week. So what's wrong with the Chiefs? But they're winning games just like the rest of the teams in the league that are gritting it out, like the Packers and, Tennessee and all these teams. So maybe nothing's really wrong with the Chiefs. They were just playing at such an elite level that we've really never seen, consistently for like a stretch of 30 games between seasons. They're clicking. The defense is up to the task, and that's going to be fun. Was there ever anything really wrong with the Chiefs, Chief? Looking back in review.
Absolutely. I am not backing off of that. There were serious problems with the Chiefs. I don't care what anybody says. When you watch that team, here's what I saw. Patrick Mahomes was throwing interceptions, getting sacked, making bad reads. It was awful. Like, I don't care what anybody says. The Chiefs had major problems for at least a 4 week stretch. Nobody can tell me otherwise. But what they did was this. Instead of taking Tyreek and giving him 8 targets and him catching, all these passes 50 yards down the field, they started giving him more like 12 targets around the line of scrimmage and letting him create yards after the catch. Well, then what that did was we realized, okay, Travis Kelce is not going to have 100 yards receiving every game, right? They're going to take him away. So what happened? You get Pringle 35 to 40 yards a game. You get McCole Hardman, his 15 to 20 yards a game or a splash play. You get the other tight end. What is his name? Did he get hurt yesterday? No, I can't remember. God, what is his name? You give him a catch for 4 or 5 yards. You give Tyreek all these passes, and he catches 8 passes. He has 8 catches for 80-something yards and a touchdown or something. And Kelsey's got 5 catches for 40 yards or 50 yards or 6. And so they reinvented this offense. And here's something I talked about this early on on an NBA show, but it was really about, as I thought about it in retrospect, I made more money on Patrick Mahomes over rushing yard props this season than probably any other prop for football. Well, why is that? Patrick Mahomes had to start, when we say take what the defense gives them, if they're in man coverage and everybody turns their back and runs away, you just take the 10 or 15 yards they give you and slide or run out of bounds, right? Or if something's off schedule, don't try to throw across your body just because you can. take the 8 to 10 yard rush, get out of bounds, and live to see another day, right? So that's what I'm saying in terms of, how I think the Chiefs kind of changed this offense. They, like you said, they got a little bit more creative with Patrick Mahomes and his total development as a quarterback, not just his Superman cape, right? They made him take that off and said, hey, you're not going to be Superman. You're going to be Batman now, right? You're going to be a real man that is a superhero for the people, not somebody from outer space that has this kryptonite that can take you down. And I'm paraphrasing, but bottom line is, right, they turned him into a real boy, like Pinocchio.
First of all, what a slap in the face to the Batman diehards tuning into the show saying that he's not a real man. Secondly,
no, that's not what I said. Don't misconstrue. Listen, for all of you Batman fans, and I do like the Dark Knight, do not let Luuch sway you. Hopefully you heard what I said. Superman, didn't know we were going to go down this rabbit hole. Superman is a superhero, right, that has powers. Like, he can blow and turn things and freeze things. He's got this superhuman strength. He's got laser eyes. He's got all of this stuff, right? Batman is a superhero that's a real person. He puts on the cape and he's got gadgets and things that help him fight crime. Superman is the crime fighting machine because of what he's equipped with internally. Here's what I meant. The Chiefs were relying on Superman to bail them out when what they really needed was someone from Gotham City, like the Dark Knight, right? To just come out of the show. Anyway, you guys know what I'm saying. Back to our regularly scheduled programs.
Dre, are you a Batman guy? Did I see you take that to heart?
Huge Batman fan. Like, my car is called the Batmobile. Batmobile 3.
So Dre, you know what I'm saying, though, right? You get the parallel here. This is not a knock on Batman. This is actually a boost up for Batman, saying, look, this guy turned himself into a superhero, right? He put in the work, the grind.
The grind.
You know what I'm saying? He grinded it out so they could flash this bat light so he could come to their rescue. Superman just shows up and is ready to go. And no training, nothing. He's just letting him ride.
Like no adversity except for kryptonite. So you're right. You got a point there.
Great. How fast does the Batmobile really go? What can you get it up to in the BQE?
Honestly, the fastest I've gone is like 125.
Ooh. Close your ears, kids. Drive safe, do the speed limit. We gotta watch our superhero critiques here. Our guy TJ Zworich does some fandom podcasts over there. I see him tweeting a lot. Great work at RotoGrinders, TJ, by the way. So he does some cool Marvel stuff. I see him tweeting about all the time. This is me and my like Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless take here. Great argument, Chief, by the way. Well, not argument, but theory and reasoning. But it basically sounded like the Chiefs had a Patrick Mahomes problem and the Chiefs didn't have a Chiefs problem. It sounded like a lot of
no. Go ahead.
Switch capes, like you were saying, and
Patrick Mahomes was the Chiefs' problem.
Wow, here we go. The best problem to have.
Here's what I mean. They were trying to use Patrick Mahomes to cover up all their problems, right? By allowing him to bail them out on offense when they had offensive line problems, defensive line problems, and essentially probably an offensive scheme problem because teams were now taking away what was their strength, right? Listen, cover 2 probably is their kryptonite, and essentially 2 deep coverage was their kryptonite. And for 3 or 4 weeks, you saw that. You said, wow, this is weird. But once they realized, okay, wait, let's take a step back, take what they give us, go from there. Suddenly, this team's humming on all cylinders after, let's say, maybe 3 or 4 weeks after that, right? Because remember, I was on the record saying this team will not make the playoffs if they play like this because they were bad. And as soon as I opened my mouth and said that, they quit losing. It has nothing to do with me. It's got everything to do with them fixing it.
But honestly, to be fair, like not trying to be fair, but like one thing I did see from Patrick Mahomes, like he did say this in an interview one time that he really never knew how to like read like defenses, replay. Like he never really learned that. Like I'm like, this guy is that raw of a talent to not know how to read defenses like that. So maybe he was still learning as a learning curve. The teams probably did not play a lot of cover 2 until this year against them. They probably run like a lot of man, a lot of zone, like cover 3 and different things like that. So he wasn't used to seeing that the two deep safeties back there. So that could be another thing too. But then that's also a developmental thing with him, and he probably got over it and got a little bit better. But it's all coaching, I think, too, when it comes down to it. And he still has the ceiling to go, especially if he's won a championship and didn't even know how to read defenses that well.
Let me ask you this. How long before Antonio Brown is a Kansas City Chief?
Oh, my gosh. Next year.
We're laughing, but if Antonio Brown, if anything comes out that he's going to any type of mental health facility and is figuring it out, he will have a job. And he's done some crazy things in this world, but he's still an amazing talent.
We need to hear more out of that situation. I'm not ready to like put the jury out yet, man. I'm invested. I need some HBO special. Like I need to hear more. But you're right. He's choking up on the bat because you played with Tom Brady twice. You already had a pit stop in New England, which didn't last very long. Who else is willing to roll the dice in the football?
There's only one coach. It's Andy Reid.
It's Andy Reid. And hey,
that's it.
Kudos to him. And Josh Gordon has stayed on the roster, hasn't really been involved. And, Byron Pringle's playing well and Hardman, like you alluded to, but good stuff. Like not hearing any negative things out of the Gordon camp. So you're right.
Can I say one more thing about Patrick Mahomes, though, before we switch gears completely?
You can say anything you want, except anything about Batman, or Dre's going to leave.
So check this out. Because I think it's important something that Dre said about it. Because I did see that interview where Patrick Mahomes is like, look, I didn't know how to read defenses. You got to figure it out. And here's the deal. Talent is a big thing in this league. If Patrick Mahomes is any other quarterback, they've already drafted another quarterback. Do you get what I'm saying? Like there have been some smart quarterbacks in this league that just don't have the talent, and they've been replaced. And so what we have to understand is talent. I don't care what anybody says. Talent, especially arm talent, like pure arm talent, the quarterback position, is why guys keep their jobs. A la Matthew Stafford. Why do you think the Rams went out and got Matthew Stafford? It's because he's got tremendous arm talent, right? Does Jared Goff have tremendous arm talent? He's got some, but he's not Matthew Stafford. And so doesn't matter how smart we think Goff is or isn't, talent is the number one key in pretty much any sport, right? And teams can tolerate you if you've got a good attitude with talent, because you can get the knowledge up here. And so my hat does go off to Patrick Mahomes, as he's been able to, continuously figure it out day by day, step by step, day by day. Shout out to Bob Saget. Rest in peace, my man. Yeah, I'm going to close it out there.
It's going to be one hell of a divisional round weekend, guys. We didn't even get to Sunday's game yet, and we just had a field day, and it was awesome. So for time purposes, let's go on to Sunday. Unless, do we want to give any final words on closing the door on the Patriots season? Mac Jones gave you most of what you would want, to glimpses of a high ceiling in New England. Doesn't have a ton of weapons. Jonnu Smith didn't run a lot of routes. Hunter Henry was often off the field, as he typically is. Like, he's got Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne, and Nelson Aguilar. Tom Brady left town for a reason with that cast. Get Mac Jones a receiver, and I'm interested. Dre, what are your thoughts on the Patriots?
I kind of disagree. I think he had a lot of weapons. Like Jonnu Smith, they have Smith at the tight end position. Then that Hunter Henry, like you mentioned. Those are two good tight ends, first of all, to begin with. I don't know why they didn't use them enough. Jacoby Myers is a young, talented receiver up and coming. I think he'll get better and better. He's a dog. I like him a lot. Nelson Aguilar, he had good last year in Oakland. I mean, well, it was Oakland actually last year, or no, it was Vegas last year. But he had a good year there, so I think he's a decent slot receiver, like probably the third option I would feel, as far as the receiver wise. So maybe they need to bring in like a number 2. But I like their offense, and they got a great running game. They have 2 good running backs, like maybe even 3. But they I think they're set. I think they just need more continuity together. They got rid of some, I think, good guys on defense, but obviously Belichick knows what he's doing because he has young guys on defense that are playing at a good level. I think that, like I said, with another year underneath their belt, they're going to be extremely good. Like if Tom Brady's back next year, I would not be surprised if it's the Bucs, especially if he's playing at this high level. Unless my Saints make a move and get like Russell Wilson or something, because we're going to have Michael Thomas back, so y'all better watch out, NFL. Watch out. But I think that they can honestly make a run at it, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's Tampa Bay versus the Patriots in the Super Bowl next year.
Chief, Patriots season before we get to Sunday?
I think what I would say about the Patriots season is I feel like for a rookie quarterback, I mean that was about as good as it's going to get, right? I mean, I don't feel like the Patriots had a failure of a season. The guys had a rookie quarterback. Rookie.
As good as it's going to get for him, because remember Justin Herbert did have a great year.
No, but I mean, I'm saying, yeah, for their team, yeah, that's about as good as it's going to get for their team. I mean, I think it was fine. I feel like the running game is solid. They got enough running backs. At some point, I think what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to go out and get a true number 1 receiver. And I'm not, so I don't feel like they have a bad receiving core, but we've got to get somebody on this offense that a team fears, right? And they're going to have to roll some coverage too every now and again. They don't have to roll coverage for Kendrick Bourne. They don't have to roll coverage for Nelson Aguilar. They don't have to roll coverage for N'Keal Harry. They don't have to roll coverage for what's the guy that has all the targets? Jesus, I always forget his name.
Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, they don't have to roll coverage for Jacoby Myers. So that's what I'm saying. At some point, the Patriots have to go out and get a new Randy Moss. Like, they can't keep traveling down the economy wide receiver path. It's only going to lead to meager winning percentages. Like, to me, their running game is fine. Like, as long as Harris stays healthy and Stevenson stays healthy. Like, don't go out and get another running back. You've got that already. They've got the tight ends. If Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry can really get rolling, I think they're good. I'm telling you, they've got to get a number 1 receiver, especially if they want to go deep in the playoffs, right?
Well, if they want to win that division and pace with the Bills.
Mac Jones is not Tom Brady yet. I see flashes of Tom Brady.
He's gonna be the next.
I see flashes of it, and I'm not saying he's gonna win championships like Tom Brady. I'm saying I see flashes of the mentality. Is what I'm saying. The winning mentality. I'm telling you right now, Mac Jones has the winning mentality, right? And so at some point, the Patriots are going to be in the thick of things with this division. And I'm not talking about like they were in the thick of things this year. I'm saying at some point next year, the year after that, they're going to come out on fire, like 5-0, 6-0. They're going to beat the Bills. They're going to beat all these teams. It's going to be like, whoa, well, wait a minute. What's going on here? You get what I'm saying? So I was impressed with what the Patriots were able to accomplish with a rookie quarterback. They managed the Cam Newton exit hush really well. Cam had his feelings about it, but it wasn't a big uproar once Cam was gone, right? Wasn't a whole lot of media stuff. and they pushed the season forward. Had to win a tough game in Buffalo with the wind and the rain, and they just kept pounding the ball. Like, that's all coaching. And that's what you're going to get in New England, right? You're going to get good coaching. Now let's go out. They need one number one receiver. And I'm telling you who I think it needs to be. Hold on. You guys can't see the pod. Dre is smiling. Dre, who do you think needs to be the number one receiver on this team?
I feel like you're going to say Chris Godwin.
No, not Chris. I've got a hunch here. This is a hunch. This is purely a hunch. Russell Wilson is leaving the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, no.
I think DK Metcalf is out of town.
That's what I was about to say. Oh, my gosh.
I'm telling you right, if they got DK, because DK is a hard worker. He's not going to be a guy that's going to sit there and cry and complain. He's going to work. Put DK Metcalf in that offense with these other guys around Mac Jones and watch what happens.
Big, physical, can block.
Exactly. That's a Bill Belichick special. Imagine him in this offense. It'd be insane. So look, you add, and this is all speculation, folks, but you add DK Metcalf to this offense.
That's it.
Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, these guys would look like studs.
Agreed. And I'm with you. And Dre, they're talented receivers, but I think they need a 1-2, a number one receiver as well. And I think this is what they did. The tight end market, you pay to get the premium tight ends at the position. Everybody said, wow, they threw a lot of money at Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, even though he didn't run a ton of routes. I don't know why. Maybe that'll change. But he's a great blocker. Jonnu Smith's a great blocker. I can tell you that. So it makes sense. All these receivers they have are very cheap. There's flexibility. Not all of them are going to be there for the next 2 years, but they basically got him. I don't want to say for free, but if you look at the contract of Jacoby Myers, he's a restricted free agent this year. We'll see what happens. So not a lot of money there. Nelson Aguilar is signed through 2022, not owed a ton of money. And Kendrick Bourne was a 3-year, $15 million deal or something like that. So you'll have some money coming off the books. You'll have some flexibility. You're not going to get a crazy cap hit if you want to part ways with one of them. They're very tradable. Maybe they end up in Seattle. Wherever. So I think it makes sense, and they forecasted for the future correctly to maybe keep, one of these guys, Dre, who definitely are talented, but I think you're both right. Maybe one of their better serves as a 2 and a 3. You bring in an alpha, and that thing's ready to hum. Damian Harris is great, and Stevenson will probably, maybe take 2/3 of the carries next year. It's going to be fun in Foxborough for Pats fans. Not going to be a big gap there in terms of success. So,
yeah, N'Keal Harry's the odd man out. Yeah. I would not get rid of Jacoby or Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, I think N'Keal's still a good receiver too. But
yeah, me too. But I think he needs to be out of New England.
Yeah, he needs a new system, I think.
Fresh start, prove it deal, go to Detroit, see what you got, something like that.
You send them to the worst place,
man. where all athletes go to die. Detroit Lions.
Tell that to St. Brown. I saw some St. Brown slander on the timeline this week, and I couldn't understand it.
I feel so bad for St. Brown. Amon-Ra, listen, man. I pray
you want him to request a trade already?
No,
all you can.
No, but here's what I see, and here's my argument. If arguably one of the most talented running backs of all time retires just so he doesn't have to play for the Detroit Lions, what does that say about the Detroit Lions? He didn't even want to get traded. He just didn't want to play football anymore. SOL, same old Lions. Fast forward a few more years, arguably one of the most talented receivers of all time, Calvin Johnson, Megatron. That requested trade. He says, "Man, I can't do this." Everybody's just throwing their hands up, walking out the door. They're like, "I can't do this. I can't do this. I gotta get out of here." They just don't want to play football after playing in Detroit. Matt Stafford, for whatever reason, I think he was on his way to retirement. He said, look, if you don't get me out of here, I'm retired. He threw his hands up. I'm out of here. They said, whoa. We just paid you all this money. We'll find you somewhere to go. I'm exaggerating on the Matt Stafford thing, but my point is this. How many athletes have we seen go to Detroit and just check out? I mean, just check out. Like, man.
Andre,
Detroit,
it takes a bold guy to change a culture, and I got to ask you what your thoughts are on Dan Campbell. And he had quite the bold introductory press conference to begin his tenure where he was clearly a football guy. But I feel like he's slowly winning over. He got respect of the league this year. He's winning over the hearts of the fans. I mean, Detroit played hard and really well towards the end of the year. What do you think of Dan Campbell? Is he the guy to turn this thing around in Detroit?
I mean, he can. I think the issue, honestly, with Detroit, they have the talent. It just might be Jared Goff. Like, he's a good quarterback. He was great when he was with the Rams when McVay got there, but before that he wasn't. Campbell got him playing pretty decent, so maybe he learned something with McVay and carried it over. But I think Dan Campbell's going to use this next year to figure out, is he the guy going forward or is he not? There isn't that many strong. I don't think there's that many strong quarterbacks coming out this draft upcoming that we have. So I think they're going to definitely use this year to just say, hey, let's see how he plays next year. Also fully healthy, because one thing I can say, salute to Detroit. They play hard. They play with everything they got. They play with so much heart. Like, and
that's coaching for sure.
That is definitely coaching. Like, they did not give up on any single game. They could have literally been the worst team ever. So they could have been the first team to go 0-17, but they didn't. They didn't fight. They fought. They got a tie. Then they got a couple wins, and they almost beat the Packers at the end of the season too. So I think it is definitely a culture change that they definitely have had. It was definitely needed from Matt Patricia, because Patricia, I feel like this is the one thing I was watching actually an interview recently. And they were talking about, it was with a lot of former football players. They were talking about how a lot of these coaches that come from the Bill Belichick system try to implement what Bill Belichick does, but then put their own twist on it. But it doesn't work. I feel like a lot of these coaches have probably done that have come from him, and it doesn't work. It fails. Create your own culture. Create your own system. I understand you want to take from a great guy who won all these championships, but take little pieces of it, but bring what you want to the table. Bring your personality. Don't try to be someone you're not, because I think that's what also doesn't help in the end too. Because as you saw, Matt Patricia kind of lost that locker room towards the end.
Yeah,
I knew that's who I was thinking of. Yeah.
Well, here's what I will say. Here's what else I will say. In today's league, hear me out, man. I mean this isn't a knock on players. They're a little bit more sensitive. They're a little bit more in touch with their feelings. And here's what I mean by that. The reason that Greg Popovich was so successful for an extended period of time is, and he'll tell everybody, I was able to hold Tim Duncan accountable. And so when he could get on Tim Duncan's butt in practice, nobody else was exempt from being held accountable on that team, because they knew he was the guy, right? And Tim Duncan led by example. He wasn't a screamer. And when I say screamer, I'm saying you weren't going to catch him like arguing. Like, I'm sure in practice, look, I've been in practice. I was a fairly, I don't want to say quiet player, but I led by example when I played, right? So I know how Tim Duncan was. I'm sure when Tim was in practice, he's like, hey, man, look, let's get it together. I don't have time to play. We got to win games. Let's go. And that's all he had to say. It's like, okay, this is our best player. He's getting held accountable. We're getting held accountable by him. We're going to win, right? And so I think from a Bill Belichick perspective, like if you hear people talk about Bill Belichick, he's just no nonsense. But he cares about the players. He cares about their families. He wants to know what's going on with them, right? It's stuff like that. And so, if you're going to be in the Patriots organization, then there's this certain level of accountability. But here's the difference. Bill Belichick has earned that by winning. He didn't just show up one day and all of a sudden everybody was just like, yeah, Bill, let's just do it. No. He earned that by winning championship after championship and so when people walk in that door, what do they call it? The Patriot way. You don't get to create a whole new cookie cutter for the cookie cutter system that he has. You either show up and do what we're trying to accomplish, or guess what? Don't worry, we'll still pay you and we'll send you out of the door, right? And so what I think Matt Patricia tried to do was create that same culture, but you got to win first. You got to earn that, right? And I tell all my basketball players, I tell my son, I say, look, respect is earned. You don't just get respect, right? You know, my son was playing JV basketball this year. He's pretty good. I'll give that to him for sure. He's actually a really talented player, but he wants to be a leader. You know, he wants to be the guy. I say, it doesn't work like that, son. You don't just show up and you're the guy. You earn the right to be the guy. You work hard to be the guy. The coach's got to trust you to be the guy. They don't just hand you the keys to their program. You got to earn it. And I think Matt Patricia was trying to rest on the fact that he got cut from the cloth of Bill Belichick and didn't earn the respect. So the locker room, he never actually ever had the locker room, but people wanted to show up on Friday and collect that check.
Mm-hmm.
It's a rare culture when you're dealing with, in the preseason, 90 stars at like, You get on, you're going to camp and you're one of 80 or 90. Like, you are in the top 0.5% of athletes in the world. Even these practice squad guys and these guys that bounce around from team to team, people say, oh, they stink, or you see memes on Twitter, and this is no slight to him in a different sport here, but the talent gap, when you get to this level in any major sport, I mean, you see memes about like Brian Scalabrine or whatever. That guy was a baller, in the NBA. Even the worst NFL. I mean, listen, Peterman, Nate, he balled. I mean, look at his success leading up to the pros. Maybe he didn't cut it as a pro, but Nate Peterman was a baller, and people, the talent gap is so small, and you got to manage all these personalities. And clearly, if you're taking over a disgruntled organization and culture and a bunch of dudes who just aren't bought in already, like, odds are it's going to be a negative response from them. I will say this: it worked differently for Mike Vrabel, and we can talk about upcoming, shortly. Let's talk about these Sunday games here. We said Patrick Mahomes switched capes. He had no problem with Pittsburgh after that T.J. Watt scoop and score. It was pretty much it. I mean, what do you want to say about the Chiefs and Pittsburgh?
Not much, man. It was an ugly game. I just felt like Pittsburgh should have never even been in that game. Like, they weren't they were not better than the Chargers or the Raiders. It was really, even though the Chiefs put up big points and it was a splash play, it was just an ugly game, man. Like, they weren't the better team. Ben should have rolled out on glory in his last game at Pittsburgh and just let that been it. They should have just let, Hopkins, not Dwayne Haskins play the last game. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, gosh, man. And I know these guys have egos, but I felt like they honored Ben enough, right? They gave him an extension on his contract when he shouldn't even have been there, right? They gave him the Kobe treatment. And so your last game at Heinz should be your last game, period. Just period. But once again, it is what it is.
Yeah. Dre, thoughts on the Chiefs and Steelers?
I'm not going to lie. At first, I thought it was going to be really interesting when the game was like 0-0, then 7-0. Steelers were up, and I thought that defense was going to hum all night long. But then KC just started kicking in, and like I said, they've been doing this all year long, finding ways to win in many kind of ways. So I felt like it wasn't right for Ben to go out like that, but I think low key they kind of wish that that game ended in a tie last week, so they weren't in the playoffs. I really do think they did, because Ben even kind of said it in his interview, like he said, we probably are the worst team out of 14 teams to get here, but we're going to just go out there and play. And I respect that. He knew he probably didn't have, he knew, and they all knew they didn't have a shot, but they gave it their best foot forward. And hey, salute him on a good career. I think it's probably a year or two too late where he should have retired sooner. But I think now Pittsburgh just needs to figure out what they're going to do from there going forward, which I'm interested in seeing. I think they have a lot of talent. They need an offensive line because I thought they were going to really win the division this year, but that O-line just fell apart on them because their defense is elite, and they need to take advantage of that while they can, especially with a defensive player in T.J. Watt that they have, who's fantastic. But I think that, it wasn't impressive. It wasn't an impressive win because it's kind of a win we expected to have happen.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh definitely left some plays out there. Deontay with a couple of terrible drops, and you sustain a drive here or there. Maybe they score another touchdown, even if they scored two more. I mean, then the game's a little more competitive. But it kind of played out, I guess, how the public in Vegas kind of expected it to. And after a little bit of a rocky start, slow start for the Chiefs. Don't know if you can start that slow against Buffalo or Cincinnati or Tennessee. So it's going to be a really good divisional round. Great career for Roethlisberger. A guy who, the three of us, we're in our 30s. And Chief, I think, are you hitting 40 yet, buddy? Are you?
No, I'm 35, man.
Okay, all right. So you're not at the Brady threshold yet. By the way, the fact that Brady is mid 40s, and some days I get out of bed and I'm like, man, my back hurts. Like what he does is just unbelievable. And we'll get to that momentarily. But good career for Ben, awesome. Legend. Going to Canton, no doubt about it. Tell you what, fellas, if Pittsburgh doesn't make that splash for one of these quarterbacks somehow and make it work financially, whether it's a trade for Russ or Aaron Rodgers likes Pittsburgh, or even getting Kirk Cousins, Dre, you said the quarterback class is a little sketchy. They're gonna have to figure something out. Sorry, shaking your head, Chief. What can Pittsburgh do? Like, who can they bring in? What can they do?
Bro, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. Pittsburgh, in my opinion, they're a quarterback away from competing. I mean that. Najee is good. The receiving core, Claypool, these guys are fine. They are one quarterback away from seriously competing. I genuinely believe that.
Sounds like the Browns. Oops. But
no whoops. The truth is the truth.
Oops, there it is.
Yeah, the truth is the truth, man.
Let's go on to that old man Tom Brady, who Dre, his little videos he posts, and then he dropped the Meek Mill in at the end there. What a little subtle jab there to the birds.
Oh yeah, that was very, very, very subtle but poetic. It's classic Tom Brady. Like, just go win, fellas, and then just right on with the hold on, wait a minute. Like, gosh, like, you gotta love that man Tom Brady for doing that. But he's an ultimate competitor. He loves to win. He's not even worried about chasing no one in the NFL. He's like on chasing guys like Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, guys who have women and fellas that have a lot of championships and on a different level of pedigree and greatness. So he's just unbelievable. I think he'll be doing this for another couple years. I can see him going to his 50, tell you the truth, as long as he's still playing like this. I'm not surprised at his performance. I think he honestly should be the MVP this year. And I know I said Cooper Kupp last time I was on the show, but Cooper Kupp didn't get the record. So you got to go with that man, Tom Brady. But I think it's really impressive what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, this wasn't a game. This was not a ball game, Chief. Not a ball game.
Nope, it was not.
Why?
Just wasn't.
Look, I'm going to keep it this simple. One team really sucked, and the other team didn't suck. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. I mean,
how many teams did the Philadelphia Eagles play with a winning record this season before that game?
All right, I was trying to let it go. I was going to try not to say too much.
Can't let it go on this podcast.
But look, I do not blame the Philadelphia football team for this. Philadelphia football team sounds almost like Washington football team. The PFT, the WFT.
WTF after that game by the PFT, man.
Listen, when you watch that game, what I saw, and I really mean this, Jalen Hurts, obviously, he's got to get better. He'll be better next year. I really believe that. I think he'll be better. He'll have more time in the lab to, make better reads and do everything he needs to do. But here's what cost Philly that game. It was a lot of weird stuff, right? And to me, that's coaching. And because I coach, I understand that you have to talk players through things certain times. Like, I'll give you guys an example. I think the best game I've ever coached in my life was a game where we were down by, and remember, this is JV with 6-minute quarters, okay? We're down 15, 20 points in the third quarter. Call a timeout, bring the girls in. I say, look, do you guys want to win this game? Yeah, coach, we want to win. I said, look, here's what I need you to do. This team cannot, I said, and I'm meaning literally, this isn't figurative. I said, this team cannot score any more points. I said, this is all we have to do. Get a stop, take good shots. But they cannot score any points. Clean up the mistake. You see, you talk your players through it, right? And it's basically what you're trying to do is calm them down and then get them ready to get them ready to go again. Here's what I saw in that game. There's no way the coach gave them anything that they could latch on to. Because what I saw was Jalen Reagor consistently go and muff punts. Somebody didn't give this man the right speech, right? Jalen, listen, man, I know this is a big game, but hey, we're behind you 100%. This is no different than what you've done in college. This is no different than what we've done all season. We're depending on you to get this right. And guess what? If you can't get the yardage, Jalen, it's no problem. Step out of the way and just let the ball roll. We'll take care of it on the back end. Go get us a play on offense. I don't know what happened on that sideline, but there was just mishap after mishap after miscue. And guess what? And Tom Brady, the defense played fine, had sacks and everything early in the first half, but Tom Brady, the snowball effect, it just started piling up. Mistake, and Tom made them pay. So I'm not saying the coach is a bad coach. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I think we could have delivered a different message to the football team to get them to play better in that moment. All right.
Dre, Eagles, I don't know. It's hard to follow up that, Chief.
I don't know what to say with the Eagles besides they weren't even supposed to be there. They should have never been there. But just credit to coaching. Nothing we said. Coaching changes everything. So they got there. I think they now just need to use the draft to their advantage, use the offseason to get better. I think they'll be a decent football team next year. I don't know what's going to happen in the NFC East. It's just the most unexpected division besides this year ever. So I don't know what to expect from them. Hopefully they'll be good next year. I think they'll be competitive, but because they I don't think they're really sold on Hurts, and that's the problem. They should be. He's proven it enough, but management never really wanted him there. But he played so well. He played Carson Wentz out of town, which was a good decision. But I just don't. I don't know. I think they need to just decide if they're going to keep him or not. I think he's a franchise quarterback. I think they just need to continue to build on what they have, and they'll be fine. They have a nice, solid, young defense, a young core. I like the receiving core that they got. Probably just need one more wide receiver. I would like probably maybe a couple more pieces on the offensive line and a durable running back. I think that's what they need, just a durable running back. Miles Sanders is just I don't think he's an every down back, but that's up to everyone else to decide, but that's my decision, my say on it.
Availability is big in this league, and so far he just hasn't been available much. So totally understand that. We'll catch you later, Birds. Tampa Bay is moving on, and we got to get to the good one. Got to get to the good one. Dallas at home falls to San Fran. Last week on the pod, Chief, you, myself, and Jay Rube all said, hey, San Fran is very live. And Jimmy Garoppolo did everything he could to hand that game to Jerry's World there. And Dallas could not capitalize. Dak Prescott couldn't come up in the clutch. Inept coaching of approving a quarterback draw with no timeout. The whole sequence. But you know what? It shouldn't have came down to that sequence because you know what they say, you play better for the other 59 and a half minutes. You make a couple plays that you should, and maybe you wouldn't be in that situation. Kudos to the Niners for the very fast start. They play the run good on defense. You hate to see Fred Warner go down, by the way. That sucks. That boy can play football. He's so good. Hope he's all right. The Niners got it done. Eli Mitchell. Dallas couldn't stop a nosebleed. What'd you see, Chief?
Man, I feel like this is just a whole coaching episode. And look, Kyle Shanahan, here's what you can't do. You can't outcoach penalties. Not during the game. That's something that's got to get taken care of off the field, right? I'm going to go back to my simplified coaching. I was talking to my son the other day, and he was talking about the JV girls basketball team. And I said, the reason why they're so bad, I said, I can almost tell you what's going on in practice right now. I said, because when I watch this team, they don't have winning habits, right? So a team can lose. Hear me out. A team can lose, but you can still see whether or not a team is well coached, right? They can still have winning habits. Well, in girls basketball, one of the first things I like to know is, when I'm coaching is who's just going to reach down and pick the ball up when it's coming off the rim, right? Because a lot of times when it's early in the season, players have a tendency to see the ball hit the rim and then watch it roll somewhere or the ball gets knocked out and we just watch it go by, right? Our brains don't say reach down and grab it and pick it up and then make a decision. The ball's rolling and we try to pat it and dribble and do all these those are bad habits, right? That's not a winning culture. That doesn't create winning habits, right? But if you have enough practices and you say, hey, the ball comes off the rim, we need to box out and grab the ball. If the ball gets knocked out of somebody's hands, we need to reach down and pick up the ball before we make a decision. Don't try to just catch it and throw it somewhere. You know what I'm saying? You give them the tools that they need to be successful, right? That creates winning habits. And then you have building blocks, okay? Well, oftentimes in any sport, I'm going to use girls basketball because I coach, they'll miss a layup and then they stop and put their head down. Well, the next building block is, look, if you miss a layup, I don't care right now. I need you to turn around and get back on defense. Don't worry about missing the shot, right? And so that's a little different because what do we hear coaches tell them all the time? You got to make your layups. You got to make your layups. Well, not at the expense of letting the other team score easy buckets. Why am I bringing this up? Why am I saying this? Because winning habits have to get created so that you can actually win the games that you have to go out and play. Here's the moral of this story. The Dallas Cowboys don't have a winning culture in that building. Why? Because they're the most penalized team in football. And it comes out to haunt them in all the big games, none bigger than Sunday against the 49ers. CeeDee Lamb, 32-yard completion. Oh, holding penalty, right? Get a stop on 3rd and 4th down for the guy to not get a first down. You look behind him and the guy's throwing the guy down like it's WWE SummerSlam, right? Offside penalties, holding penalties, infractions, all these things added up to the Cowboys losing this game, and they should have lost because they're the most undisciplined team in football. That's why they lost the game, and that's on coaching.
You a Mike McCarthy guy, Dre?
No.
Are you a Kellen Moore guy?
No.
I don't think I am either. I mean, I'm more of a Kellen Moore guy than a McCarthy guy. I said it before, and I think I've said it on podcasts, that Aaron Rodgers bailed out Mike McCarthy and now he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers. I think this is going to be an unpopular take, but I think Aaron Rodgers is bailing out Matt LaFleur as a coach too. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah,
definitely too many miscues.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, and that's like you said, turn to a coaching podcast. I think that's what the playoffs is all about. It's not about you could be the most talented team in the world, but it's come down to coaching and preparation. The one thing that stood out to me that McCarthy said that I didn't like, and which honestly, if I'm an owner, I would have fired him the next day. He said, "Oh, we practiced that play on a 2-minute drill. So you practice running a draw, quarterback draw, when you hardly have any time left, and you have no timeouts left. That's a bad decision."
They would have come out better spiking the ball before the draw.
Yeah, like I was like, what are you thinking? Like that made no sense. I'm like, what? I'm like, when your right mind says that. But I mean, you gotta cover yourself somehow by saying stuff. If you practice that, then God bless you. Especially when you have no timeouts left, because I know what my high school football coach would have been in my butt if I did some stupid stuff like that. Just to keep it PG-13 on here. But he would have run us a new one. Like it's incredible when you see it out here. Like it makes me think I could really be an NFL head coach and do a better job than Mike McCarthy, honestly, with the way he coaches. It's just a lack of preparation, lack of discipline. And that's what it boils down to, and that's the reason why they lost that game. But I knew they were going to lose anyway. Just from watching that game last week with San Francisco playing against the Rams and how they came back and won, I was just like, wow, this team is clicking right now on all cylinders. Their defense is playing at an elite level, which they were expected to last year, but then Bosa got hurt. And it's just more so now about what is the quarterback play going to be. But that defense was good enough at least to beat the Dallas Cowboys, I knew. So Jimmy G played how he was supposed to play, played good. I know at the end it got a little bit close, a little bit crazy, but sometimes you need that. But at the end of the day, Mike McCarthy showed his true colors, and the reason why he wasn't coaching the year 2 years ago when he said he took the year off and was watching every game, but he lied about that, which he admitted to in the interview, in his press conference hiring interview. So it is what it is. The Cowboys, they're going to stick with him, I from what I've heard, but I think they should get off him. But good luck with them. Good luck to them.
The Niners are clicking with subpar quarterback play. Like, man, imagine if he didn't do some dumb stuff every year. Every game, there's one or two throw that change the game, and San Fran's still getting away with it. But hey, credit to Shanahan, brilliant schemer, gets his playmakers to the ball. Elijah Mitchell gets 25 plus carries. Debo gets a handful of targets and 10 carries. We're talking 15 opportunities for Debo, and they're doing this while Kittle's getting preferential coverage there. So Brandon Ayuk stepping back up to the plate. They're finding ways to scheme open their players. You saw the game that the play that almost iced it. Who in their right mind calls that play for Debo Samuel on the end around ish type play? Amazing! What a ballsy play call! And those are the kind of things. Tale of two tapes here. Coaches on complete opposite ends of the spectrum, in my opinion. Kyle Shanahan, absolutely brilliant. Rarely makes a negative EV decision in DFS lingo here, and Mike McCarthy is full of them. Dallas, great team on paper. All this talk about how good that offensive line is. If you look at our Gridiron IQ tool, they're a zone run team. They were the least successful zone run team out of the 12 teams that played this weekend. So they're not even doing the things well that they're supposed to do well. Where does it start? Where does it end? I don't know. Coaching is definitely involved in it somehow. Gentlemen, we talked about the Eagles. We talked about Dallas. They both got there because they played inferior competition, partially, in the NFC East. Right? They had some get-right spots with the Giants twice and the football team twice. And, hey, this football team could do a 180. I feel for the football team. You don't even get Ryan Fitzpatrick. People forget about that. Could have been a totally different culture, taking nothing away from Heineke, who had a couple of good weeks, but he's not it. And you lose Chase Young, your identity defensively, on top of a bunch of other injuries, some drama in the organization as well. Antonio Gibson dealt with a lot too. I think this division is still up for grabs. And I think what we saw, the deficiencies and flaws we saw from a coaching and personnel and decision-making and execution for everything just shows that, I don't know, Dallas got outplayed, outcoached, out executed, and the Eagles, I don't think belonged on the same football field either. And I'm trying to be polite here. It was ugly. It was what it was. But I think with a couple different pieces and a little, some changes in the locker room, I think this division is still up for grabs. And once you get in, you can make some noise. And I'll stop bashing the NFC East. I really will. But brutal loss for Dallas. It's been a while. Dallas. Feel for you guys. Let's make some predictions. Let's talk about this coming week for a bit, fellas. We have an exciting divisional round. We talked about some of these AFC matchups. And the NFC, listen, we're recording this thing late, and the Rams are running away with this game against the Cardinals. It's essentially over. So we know the table's set. Chief, the table's set. AFC or NFC, where do you want to dive into first? I'll follow your lead here.
Let's go NFC. Let's keep it in the NFC because I want to talk about 49ers Packers. What if I told you I think the 49ers can get the Packers too?
I wouldn't be surprised.
What has to be done? What has to be done?
I've got this. Well, let me say this. I do think the 49ers, their defense is going to have to be intact. Like if Fred's not playing, and I think he just had an ankle injury because I did see him on the sideline. Like he wasn't like completely like, he didn't have to get on the car to ride in the back. Like he was still in the field and hopping around at the end of the game, excited. I think the 49ers can get the Packers. Now, will they? I don't know. But here's why. Any team that's got a balanced offensive attack and a somewhat steady defense can get it done. Bosa did come out of the game with the head injury, and Fred got hurt. And those are two big pieces, right? So we need to see if those guys are going to be there on Sunday. We'll see. But the Swiss Army knife especial, Deebo Samuel, he's clicking right now, man. He's clicking. I mean, he's arguably their best offensive player. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, he not arguably. I think he is the best offensive player right now. He's clicking on all cylinders, and so finding ways to get their best playmaker the ball out of the backfield in the zone read game, in the screen game, in the open field. Brandon Ayuk being able to have some splash plays. And guess what? This past game, they didn't even really use George Kittle. They barely used George Kittle, and they still beat the Cowboys. And he's probably their second best offensive weapon. Elijah Mitchell, they've got so many ways to beat you. They're built for balance. And that's why it's so hard to stop them on offense. And even though the play action is coming, you still have to stop it. You know it's coming at some point, but you might not know when. They might go 1st and 10 run for 10 plays. But then on their 11th play, it's human nature. That linebacker is going to creep up, and George Kittle or Ayuk or somebody's going to be streaking right behind them. And then guess what? Maybe they go back-to-back play action. They say, oh, no, they won't go. They're keeping teams off balance with their balance. And
you're making a case for a future argument of mine, which we'll get to in about 10 minutes. But
and that's why, once again this week, I'm actually kind of afraid for the Packers. The Packers are a better coached team than the Cowboys. Like, that's the difference, right? And that's the difference here. And they're going to be out in the elements. But the 49ers are built to win. They're not some fly-by-night football team. And so I think if I had to pick an upset for the week, it would be the Packers. Because in my opinion, there is no upset. Hear me out. There is no upset in the Bills-Chiefs game. Whoever wins is probably going to the Super Bowl. Listen, I'm not knocking down your Tennessee Titans, my man. But these two offenses on a totally different playing field because you guys have too many injuries. Like if Julio was Julio from 5 years ago and you had AJ Brown and Derek Hitt, like we'd be in a totally different discussion. But these two offenses, they're humming. They're humming. So to me, there is no upset in the Chiefs-Bills game. Whoever wins just wins. But if the 49ers beat the Packers, trust me, that's an upset. It's an upset.
Dre, I mean, what do you got to do when you go into the frozen tundra? You got to run the ball, and you have Mitchell who can handle volume. You have Trent Williams in front of him with Alex Mack under center. Does it give him a shot? Does Chief have an argument here?
Yeah, it does give him a real shot. I've been thinking about this so far because I like to try to get in early with the sports books and make my bets, my little money line parlays for the week on the NFL. But it's a close one, and I think this game really could go either way. I think they played each other actually in the playoffs last year, if I'm correct, and Green Bay won that game. So it's going to be an interesting match. These two coaches know each other really well. It's pretty much almost like the same team that they had going against each other before. It's just more so. It's going to come down to the play of Jimmy G. I think Jimmy G is going to determine what the outcome of this game is going to be. If he
does have a slightly sprained shoulder, by the way. That's the report that's out right now.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they use both quarterbacks next week, just to get some little trickery in there and to keep the defense off balance. But if Jimmy plays well, they have a chance to win the game. My biggest upset is coming in the AFC though, so we'll get to that in a little bit, but I do honestly at the end of the day expect probably the Packers to pull it off and win. I think it'll be a really close game, probably by like a field goal. But I wouldn't be surprised at this point if Green Bay lost. I really wouldn't, because that defense, like you said, for the 49ers is just playing at an elite level right now too. It's just hard to win in Green Bay. That's the only problem.
Yeah, and you make a case. You say, well, the Niners secondary is in shambles, but they just kept CeeDee Lamb in check, and Mark Cooper didn't go nuts, and Dak was mediocre at best. But that football team is on a different wavelength than the Green Bay Packers. The Packers have continuity, and I worry about Josh Norman, and I worry about Mosley on the outside against Devontae Adams. I think I'm with you guys. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think the Packers win by 6 or 7. I just think you're going to give me the Jimmy Garoppolo we know at a guaranteed less than 100%. I don't know if I could take those. Eventually, the ball's going to have to go up eventually, and I don't know. I just think it's going to be just a little bit too much. Get that bye week with Rodgers' foot thing, whatever had going on. But I think it's live. I think we're going to see 4 really good games this weekend. So let's stay in the NFC and talk about, we're going to see the Rams in Tampa Bay. Hey, another great game. What about this one?
I'm not counting the Cardinals out just yet. It's 10 minutes left in the fourth. They get a stop. They get a score. It's let's see. If they went for 1, it would be 18-31. If they went for 2, it's 19-31. We'll see.
Score quickly.
Yeah. Listen, I don't think they're going to win this game for what it's worth. Like I picked the Rams anyway. Like I didn't think the Cardinals were going to win. I don't think Matt Stafford could have asked for a better scenario. He gets this first week at home, right? And then he gets to go play in some warm weather in Tampa Bay. He can't ask for a better scenario. He's going down to Tampa, which is going to be about as close to his California weather as he's going to get at this point in the season. So I think the Rams are a better football team right now. I think they're a little bit more healthy. we've got to see if this offensive line is going to hold up for the Bucs. They did have some offensive line minor nicks and bruise injuries, in that last game. So we got to see if it's going to hold up. But outside of that, I do like the Rams more than I like the Bucs right now. I think the Rams have a much better defense overall in terms of talent across the board, pass rush, run defense. I just think they're a little bit better in every aspect of the game currently.
Yeah, and you look at these games. I don't know what that line is going to open up at, but it's not going to be much. Green Bay is the biggest favorite at 5.5. Tennessee's 3.5, and the Chiefs are favored by 2.5. So it's like, are there really any actual upsets on the horizon? I think they're all about as good of games as we could ask for. I think the question is Leonard Fournette going to be available? Because that's a game changer. You can get away with Gio Bernard played great. He was the modern version of James White, and Deion Lewis or whoever you want to call Tom Brady's check. I mean, he won some GPPs. It was fine, but that's not who Tampa Bay wants to be. They need that power run game. If they get you can run on the Rams. They've shown a little bit of vulnerability from time to time. I think Fournette's key here. And I know he's not really going to move lines, but then you honor the play action game a little bit more. I feel like the Rams defense is very, if we're using DFS lingo, stars and scrubsy, because they have a couple really, really big household names there. You got Vaughn, Aaron Donald, and Jalen Ramsey, arguably top of the line at their positions, but they really have to pull weight of some of these other linebackers that are, mediocre at best, some of this other personnel. I don't know how to pick a winner in this game that we're talking about, man. I guess I'm going Tampa Bay by a nose, but I really like the way the Rams put the hammer down tonight. I think that solidifies that the Cardinals were really trending in the wrong direction, and they're not magically going to flip the switch. And I don't know.
They have some injuries too, though. Like
I get it, but at this point, everyone has. Are we worried about Cliff Kingsbury's job at this point? I mean, what a disaster!
No,
again,
no.
Another meltdown. Another meltdown.
I'm not worried about, because here's why I say that. I think we pull the trigger too quick on certain coaches, right? Like the Carters weren't winning at all before he got there after Bruce Arians. They weren't winning, and now he's created a culture. At least give him a shot to take his best players into the playoffs. Like Nuke Hopkins not being there, this offense is just taking a nosedive, right? And here's why. It's for the same reason I say the Patriots need a number one. Like when you don't have to account for somebody on the outside that's a legitimate threat, defenses can just tee off on you. Like they just pin their ears back and go after the quarterback. They're not afraid of Christian Kirk without Nuke Hopkins, but I guarantee you they're afraid of Christian Kirk with Nuke Hopkins because it opens the field up for him. So I think Cliff Kingsbury deserves one more year, and let's see if he can carry this team into the playoffs at full strength, right? I think he deserves one more, at least.
The seat's going to be warm next year, though. Dre, how do you pick a winner in this potential Rams Bucks and why?
Here's how I put it. These are two elite teams, offensively and defensively. Defensively, the Tampa Bay Bucks are right now getting their groove back. Like they're getting players back on defense that have been out all year or out for most of the year that were hurt. So I think right now, just like last year, they're starting to click. Rams, same thing. They're starting to click. And what's scary with the Rams is they got elite talent like Von Miller, like and you can't. And then you got Aaron Donald on the line. With Aaron Donald, you have to have two guys block him automatically. Two guys have to pay attention to him, so that gives Von Miller the freedom to run around. And tonight, he looked a little bit like the MVP Von Miller.
Yeah.
Super Bowl. So, and if he's playing at that elite level, honestly, the Bucks won't have a chance to win because they're going to just get to the quarterback whenever they want. And with Jalen Ramsey, we didn't even get to the secondary when they got Jalen Ramsey. Like, and they don't have elite weapons no more besides Mike Evans and Gronk. But if I'm the Rams, I'm taking away Gronk. I'm gonna force you to try to beat me with your other receivers. So it's gonna be interesting. I honestly, I think I'm gonna go with the Rams to win. But if Tom Brady has a ball with 2 minutes left, game on the line, it's hard not to go with him. That's the only thing that I'm worried about. So I'm gonna go with the Rams, and that's a real final pick. It's gonna be hard though. I'll probably hedge my bet and probably place a bet on the other side too. but I think that, like I said, with 2 minutes left, and Tom Brady has that ball in his hands, ain't no one has done it better than him, and then the Bucks will win.
Listen, I would love to see the role reversed too, because Matt Stafford's been waiting for this for a long time. His 2-minute drive to take down Brady. What a game that would be for his legacy. That would be cool. That's going to be a great game. Yeah, you want to go to the AFC, or do you got anything else here, Chief? Lead us in there. Let's get to it.
I mean, I think I'm more excited to see this Bengals game than anything else. I really want to see how this young team comes out to play. We're going to get that game at 4:30 at the Titans. Like, I think this is a good game, and I'm excited to see it. I don't have a good read on it yet, because I do want to see what's going to happen with Derrick Henry, right? Like, is he for sure going to be back, or is it going to be the Dante Foreman show again? I just want to see what happens. But, I think the Titans, I'm going to give the Titans this win based on experience. I do value playoff experience, and I think the Titans get this one based off experience. The problem is, I don't think the Titans want to be in a shootout here. If it becomes a shootout, I'm going to be real afraid for the Titans. How do you feel about it? I'm telling you, I don't think this needs to be a shootout. If Joe Burrow and this team gets rolling through the air and the Titans have got to come from behind, I'm going to be real afraid for them on Saturday.
It's a nasty offense. So many weapons with Cincinnati. I think it's kind of a dead narrative, though. The Titans, with Derrick Henry, you can't come from behind, and that's a big question mark, right? Like, what are we going to get out of him? He looked good in practice. I think he plays. I think he gets 15 to 20 carries. I really do.
Okay,
but there's a lot of variables in here. Did you know that Henry, Julio Jones, and AJ Brown collectively played a total of 10% of the snaps together this season?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I know.
So maybe there's not a ton of continuity, but you talk about shading coverages. Maybe we'll finally get a glimpse for 60 minutes of pick your poison. So I think you're going to see a lot of preferential coverage. Trey Hendrickson's a beast. He had a concussion. He might not play. The Bengals are missing Mike Daniels on the defensive line, and Ogunjobi's out too. Foot injury. So, man, it's really going to be a battle of who are these teams, and that's what the Titans do. It's hard to get a read on them, right? They lose to the Jets. They lose to the Texans. They beat the Colts twice. They beat the Chiefs.
Hey.
They beat the Bills.
Listen,
they're a tough one. I will tell you this. My last, and this is going to be a great game. My last note is we talk about coaching, and Mike Vrabel is 8-0 with extended rest. So here's a guy from the Patriot tree. Zach Taylor's great, but man, and I never picked the Titans. I'm not biased, but I think I'm giving them the slight edge here.
I'm not biased.
I'm not
coming
biased.
From a Titans fan.
How many Titans fans do you know? It's probably one. It's probably me.
Half our company's Titans fans, I think. The company's in Nashville, Luuch.
Dude, the Titans haven't had support from their own city in a very long time.
Gosh. I don't know why.
Listen, man, it's scary hours with Joey Bengals coming into town. Jamar Chase is a problem. Dre, this is your upset pick.
Yes,
it is. You already know.
Matt Gay coming through in the clutch. Listen, I love field goals, man. Probably more than anybody. These field goal props are money makers. I'm telling y'all. right, I'm done. Sorry. This happens every week. Something happens while we're on this pod that I need to come through. So here's what I need now. I need Kyler Murray to drive this ball down the field. I need them to score a touchdown, and I need Zach Ertz to pick up these yards. If I get that, all my bad beats for the day are washed away. It's a good day. All right. Sorry. Go ahead, Dre.
You're Justin already touched on it. This is my upset of the week. I'm loud and clear. Cincinnati is taking this game. They're going to shock the world. That secondary for Tennessee is not nothing to fear. Like there's not. There's no one I think on that secondary that could guard Jamar. First of all, Jamar Chase he's the best receiver on the team. But T. Higgins, I think, who is the second best receiver on the team, who I think is still an elite receiver too. I don't think anyone to guard him too. So I think you're gonna have a problem. Yeah, getting Derrick Henry back, and you're gonna have to. Granted, you're gonna have to expect him to hopefully carry a full workload, which in his first game back, which I don't think he's gonna be able to do. Like you said, 15 to 20 carries. You think he's gonna get? That's not enough. Not enough in this game because you want to play keep away from Joe Burrow and that offense. Because, like you said, the last thing you want to do is get into a shootout. You can't rely on Julio Jones with his hamstrings. Man, don't stretch. I like this is coming from I have someone who I know. I don't know how true this is, but someone that I know who trained who knows who's a friend. He played D1 football. He knows someone who trained Julio Jones, and he said this man never really stretched. So that's probably why his hamstring has problems now. I don't know how true that is, but if that is true to any truth to it, then he's gonna be having problems for a while. But I definitely like this upset here. I think the Bengals have enough on defense to get the job done. I think they'll just worry about stacking the box, shutting down Henry when he's in the game, and still just put one-on-one coverage with AJ Brown and Julio Jones because Julio's up in age now and AJ Brown is an elite receiver, but I just don't fear him yet like that. So I like Joe Burrow to come out here and strike the world and pull this upset here, and the Bengals go to the AFC Championship game where they will probably play the Kansas City Chiefs, and that will be an amazing showdown.
I think we got an amazing showdown with the Chiefs and the Bills as it is. That could be the Super Bowl, and I'd be fine with it. I'd watch it 10 times. That's fine with me. I mean, wow. How do you? So you're leaning Chiefs for that one? Dive into that one. Bills traveling to Arrowhead. We touched about it. We touched a little bit on the Bills and Devin Singletary, his success, and the changes Pat Mahomes has made. So here we go, man. The gloves are off, baby. Let's get to it.
Yeah, it's more so coming down to like I said at the beginning of the show. Patrick Mahomes has found ways to win throughout the whole season. So it didn't pay off back then because some of them were losses, some of them were wins, but it's going to pay off now here in the playoffs in big spots like this. And like I said before, Kansas City is clicking on all cylinders on the defensive end, so it just makes it tough for me to try to go with a team like go with a team like Buffalo, who is up and down a little bit. Like, granted, we have him targeting Diggs a lot. Knox is a great tight end. Singletary's running the ball really, really well. Give them credit for that. Beasley, I think in order for them to win this game, I think they're going to need to get more targets to Beasley to open up the middle of the field or Gabriel, whoever's in the middle of the field. Keep that middle of the field occupied and keep feeding them targets to keep them corners occupied and then get the shot at Diggs downfield in order for Buffalo to win. But I just don't see that happening. I just really do see Mahomes and them finding a way to win. Like, and hopefully if they get Clyde Edwards-Helaire back, I think that's even a bigger difference maker. But McKinnon looked really good. That might be the sleeper, honestly, of like the whole playoffs, because I didn't expect him to do what he did. We all thought Darrell Williams was going to get the workload, and it was McKinnon. and he looked like when he was playing for the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm interested in seeing how that dynamic continues to unfold in an upcoming week. And I think that adds another element to their offense, because I think even if Edwards-Helaire comes back, I think they'll probably still have packages for McKinnon with him out there to make the defense guess a little bit more, catch them off guard with things that they didn't run probably in the regular season. So I look forward to that. I think this is going to be a great game overall, close one too. But I think that Mahomes and them find a way to squeak it out at the end.
Chief, what's your take on this one?
I really don't have a good read on this one right now, man. I've tried to think through the scenarios and how I think it all comes down to it. To me, it's one of those where whoever has the ball at the end is probably going to win. I think this is a tight game. If I had to side right now, I think I'd go with the Chiefs at home. But I wouldn't be surprised if Buffalo pull this off. Like I said, this is one of those ones where whoever wins, I'm not surprised. Whoever wins, it's like, okay, well, yeah, these are probably two of the best teams in the AFC, and they just the seeding just happened to pit them against each other really early in the playoffs,
Yeah, I guess it's not really. We're like right in the middle of the playoffs, I guess. This is a tough one, man. It's tough to get a read on. My brain wants to go Kansas City at home, Arrowhead. My gut wants to take the Bills, and just with this Devin Singletary feature back, he's doing more than they had throughout the first half of the season out of the run game. The fact that they can have a leading rusher in the game that's not Josh Allen might actually benefit them. Who's going to make one more mistake? And I think my safer bet's with Josh Allen, but it's really close. What I think a big missing link is? No Trey White for Buffalo. I mean, that changes things. Like, you can stick him on an island with Tyreek once in a while if you wanted to. If you're sticking a gun to my head, taking the Bills, don't feel good about it. I don't know. Like, I'm not super confident in this one. I think that makes for a great game, but I'm just looking forward to it, man. I mean, two great quarterbacks. These guys will go down as two of the greatest quarterbacks the three of us will ever, 15 years down the road. I mean, we're going to talk about, knock on wood, two legends, they have everything that everybody wants. We're really lucky. We say goodbye to Drew Brees. We say goodbye to Peyton Manning. We'll never say goodbye to Tom Brady, apparently, because he just keeps coming back. Insert Mahomes, insert Josh Allen, insert Joe Burrow, right? Like, we're spoiled.
Well, guess what, though? Not to get ahead to next season. Deshaun Watson is still sitting at home.
Oh yeah,
he's literally still sitting at home. Like, the league is in good hands at the quarterback position. It really is. Imagine if Deshaun Watson went to Pittsburgh right now. They'd be a playoff contender instantaneously.
It's such a "what have you done for me lately" society. Most of the public probably forgot about the guy, right? I mean, he could go anywhere and he can make 90% of this league a contender wherever he goes.
If I'm the Panthers, I'm calling him
Here
today.
We go.
The Panthers, I'm on the phone. Did you do it? No? Okay. We'll figure out the particulars. We just need to get you down here. And guess what? And here's what I do if I'm the Carolina Panthers. The minute Deshaun Watson says he's coming, I pick up the phone, I call Matt Rule, and I get out of that contract. I'm not going to let Matt Rule screw up my chances at winning. No. He's out the door. Get him out. All right, I'm done. Sorry. Now that's me being a fan, by the way. I am being a fan.
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of an offseason. Man, anything else you guys want to get off your chest? I guess we'll say goodbye for this week with two more open-ended questions. Who's your MVP? Who's your coach of the year? And who's your comeback player of the year? Those are three good ones, right? I think maybe we were kicking the tires on this pre-podcast here. That's a tough one. Who wants to go first here? Lead off, Chief. I heard that big deep sigh where you're thinking Superman, Batman. Here comes Spider-Man into the conversation. But who's it going to be?
Honestly, I think the coach of the year needs to be the guy from the Bengals. I do. What is his name again? I was about to call him Matt Gay, but Matt Gay's in my head because he's kicking field goals.
Zach Taylor.
Zach Taylor. I think he needs to be the coach of the year. And here's why I say it. When the Bengals got rid of Marvin Lewis, they went down a really bad path of just losing, right? The Andy Dalton era was over. The AJ Green era was pretty much over because he was getting hurt every play. And so now Zach Taylor comes in, gets Joe Burrow the first year. They look awful, but come back the second year and they look a lot better, win the division a lot better. And so I think he's earned it. It doesn't matter how much deeper they go in the playoffs. I think he's earned it. We could always look at Bruce Arians. We could look at Jesus. What's the guy's name? Sorry. Anyway, Matt LaFleur. We can look at Matt LaFleur. Like, I'm saying we can look at those coaches, but I think Zach Taylor's earned it. If you ask me about, the comeback player of the year, I feel like, maybe we would have thought about Dak if they would have kind of closed this thing out the right way. I wish J.J. Watt would have made it through a whole season. He could have been comeback player of the year.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I want to go with Nick Bosa because he had a really gruesome injury last year. He came back and played fairly well. And I like AJ Green too. Like it's a lot on my list on that one. AJ's had a really good season overall. To say he's been down and out in Cincinnati. But I think you got to go Dak, even though he had a rough end to the season. Like, he had a season-ending ankle injury, came back, still put up the numbers. Team won, just couldn't get there. I think we go Dak. And then in terms of league MVP, listen, I think you got to go Tom Brady. Like, I'm not going to give him the Michael Jordan treatment. I'm not going to give him the LeBron treatment. I'm not going to, like, the guy's earned it. He was the best player on his team all year. No need to try to rob him of that just because he keeps winning. He earns it every year. It doesn't get handed to him. I think we go Brady.
All right, Dre. You had some time to mull it over there. What do you got for us?
Coach of the year. Just because I'm impressed with them holding on to the number one seed with all the adversity they went through this year, I gotta give it to your Tennessee Titans coach Mike Vrabel. I think that's an impressive feat, losing Derrick Henry, not playing without your second star receiver in Julio Jones, and then not having AJ Brown and still finding ways to win games and remain the number one seed is very, very, very impressive to me. So I gotta go there for coach of the year. For comeback player of the year, I'm going to go with my guy, Joe Burrow. I think he suffered the same thing like you said with Dak. He suffered a season-ending injury and came back and led this team to win the division. That's something that probably wasn't even expected of them to even do. And he already has won more playoff games than Andy Dalton and Carson Palmer in the Cincinnati Bengal uniform. And just that alone is an impressive feat too. So to me, he's my comeback player of the year. Even though that work could go to a lot of other players, but I just think he deserves it for what he did this season and how he got the Bengals to where they are today. And then for the MVP, I'm going to have to go with Tom Brady as well. like you said, you can't knock the man for winning. He just keeps winning. I know we always knock LeBron for always putting up these numbers and being in the NBA Finals constantly. LeBron's one of the greatest players to play of all time. He's not the GOAT, in my opinion. Jordan will always be the GOAT, but why are we doing that just because they keep winning? Like he puts his team in the best position to win constantly with whatever he's getting, whatever the adversity is, no matter what's happening. You saw they lost Godwin, then the situation with AB, then they lost Leonard Fournette, and they still find a way to get it done. Next man up. I guess that Patriot mentality does not go away. You just got to keep going with rolling with the punches. So to me, you have to give him the MVP, and just go with it from there.
Well, I think the jury might still be out, and I want to say Vrabel's coach of the year, but I will say if Tennessee loses, if the Niners pull the upset and the Bengals win, I think it's going to be a really close race with Zach Taylor. And if San Fran goes into Green Bay and pulls off that upset, you got to start talking Kyle Shanahan again too. I do think though, if Tennessee gets to the AFC Championship, I think it's Vrabel. They almost used 100 bodies on the field this season. It's not only Henry, it's been AJ Brown, it's Julio. The defense was shredded for most of the year too. So I think it's Vrabel. I'm with the Tom Brady for MVP talk. I think we're all in agreement there. I was going to be different and go Aaron Rodgers potentially, but I can't. I'm sold on it's Tom Brady being the correct answer. And you could have gotten Brady at some really good plus money on some books the last month, by the way. And lastly, comeback player of the year is Joe Burrow, regardless of whatever happens in Cincy. I think it's Joe Burrow. Obviously, you can make a case for Dak, but with his performance against San Fran, I think the edge goes to Burrow there. That's it.
I retract my statement. This is a tilt statement retraction, okay? But I do really mean it. End of the game, not only does Arizona not use the timeout to save more time after they stop them on third down, the last play of the game is a run by Eno Benjamin. And they just let the time run out. Okay, let's go with my tilt statement retraction. Cliff Kingsbury has to go.
I love it. What a way to wrap it up.
You do not let your team in a playoff game in on a run. You at least, you know what I'm saying? You at least let your quarterback have some pride at the end of this game and push it down, 2-minute drill. Let's get in the end zone for pride's sake. You do not hand the ball off to your running back and say, all right, that's it. Okay, Cliff Kingsbury's got to go. Send Brian Flores to Arizona. Hey, send David Culley to Arizona. I don't think David Culley should have been fired. I don't care what happened down there. David Culley had a good year coaching that football team. And for him to only get 1 year with a botched up roster and all the turmoil they had going on there, he had that team playing hard. I mean, was able to switch over to Davis Mills, who played quarterback for him. And that's what I'm saying. So much panic. I don't know why David Culley got fired. It was awful. He should not have been fired after that turmoil of a season, everything he had to navigate. But microwave society, I don't know how they're going to win games when it is what it is. But Cliff Kingsbury's got to go. No coach lets their team just lay down and die, even when the score is that big. Not at least, especially not in football, right? Like, end of the game, the defense is going to be playing soft coverage anyway. Let your quarterback get some mojo going and go out with a bang. Cliff Kingsbury, done. Done.
He's out of here. The seat is hot. I'm telling you, the seat's hot. We might not see the change in the offseason, but
I'll say this. I watched the Arizona Cardinals all or nothing series on Prime when Bruce Arians was there. I don't think that owner's going to stand for this. And the general manager just letting the guy. No. We don't lay down and die in football. I mean, like if it's 2 seconds left, especially when you've got the ball, right? You're trying to score a touchdown. All right, I'm done.
Listen, guys, we gotta get out of here. Hell of a podcast, covered a lot of ground. This is why we do what we do. We love this time of the year. Always a great conversation. Dre, where can the people find you on Twitter?
You can catch me on my new Twitter handle now, Drizzy26_DFS. Be out there. Any help with any coaching or anything like that, inbox me. I'm here to help any way I possibly can. Any questions, DM me. I'm always around all the time. I'll have my phone on me. This week I'm gonna be taking off and playing a little DFS, and I'll be in these prop bet streets with Chief, and also in the sports books, which is another bone to pick. FanDuel, all these other sports books. I need to get these futures out there for the NFL. I didn't have them for when it went live in New York. I'm really upset because I had to go all the way to Jersey to do that. But make sure next year they're there, because I would love to take advantage of putting those MVP picks in and comeback player of the year picks in. So I could have got a lot of money off of it.
Well, good stuff, and congrats on finally being able to bet on most things from your couch, because we're spoiled having that luxury, man. So good stuff. Appreciate you as always. Chief, anything else before we get out of here, buddy?
Cliff Kingsbury has to go. That's the title of this pod.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. I think we'll be back next week. So for Chief, from Chief's Prop Shop, Will Priester, and Dre coming on, and for you, Cliff Kingsbury. We'll see you later. I'm the Luuch. Have a good one, everybody.